Hi, so this is my just completed LottieFiles interactive animation. It's basically an air conditioner control UI panel. And with this particular interactive animation, you can change the air conditioner mode. This is currently the cool mode, and it just has this snowfall animation that illustrates that this air conditioning unit is currently cooling the house. And we have the snowflake animation too. Then if I want to change the mode, I can easily just click on it, and then the snow melts away, the thermometer drops, and then we have this glowing background like some sort of ember. So that is for the air conditioning mode, transition from the cooling mode to the heating mode. And then we can transition back to the cool mode by just clicking on cool. So you can switch between the cool and the heat mode. Then for this particular animation too, you can change the unit of the animation from Celsius to Fahrenheit. As you can see, the main target temperature here is currently in Celsius, and then the range of the temperature is currently in Celsius to from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. But with the click of a button, we can change this from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if I click on Fahrenheit here, it's going to change to Fahrenheit, and then not only the main temperature, the target temperature changes, the temperature rate changes too. So from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius to 86 degrees Celsius. And then for this snow animation, if you don't like it, say it's too much, or this is actively in use and you want to save battery, you can easily turn it off with a click of a button. With that button, it is gone, completely gone. And then you can bring it back by turning it on. And the next thing you can do with this particular interactive animation is change the target temperature of the air conditioner with this particular temperature slider. So I can move this around to change the target temperature, and then we have a limit. So you can only go from 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. If it is Celsius, you can go from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Then you can change between this. This particular slider will not move beyond this range. So it is designed that way to have that restriction, that range from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Then whatever level you are on either of the temperature units, for example, we are currently on Celsius, and the target temperature is currently 20 degrees Celsius. If I click on Fahrenheit, that calculation is automatically done, and you are going to have the equivalent of the degrees in Fahrenheit as it was in Celsius. So let me change that again. Let's move this to say 77. Let's do 81 degrees Celsius. And if you don't want to use Fahrenheit, you can click on Celsius, and that will be 27 degrees Celsius. So all of this is currently made possible with the LottieFiles motion tokens and state machines. This animation basically started in Figma. I designed it in Figma, and this is currently the design. It's a very simple design with a little bit of liquid glass action going on. And then from here, I brought the design into Lottie Creator. So I did virtually all of the animation in Lottie Creator with the exception of the snowfall. So if I play this, let me preview this. This snowfall, I didn't do it myself. I used a community animation, which is one of the best features of Lottie Creator. You don't need to create every single element in your animation yourself. There are over 700,000 free high quality animations that you can use for free in your projects. So for example, for the snowfall, all I have to do is just search for snow. I just imported the one I like. Just click on it, and then insert as SVG or insert animation into your project, and then you can use that as you wish. So after doing the animation, the next thing I did was to put it into segments, so I can use those segments in the state machines to add interactivity to my animation. So the first segment, let me just play this. The first segment is this cool animation, and this is going to be looped. As you can see over here, this is what is currently playing here. This particular segment here, this cool segment, it is what is being looped over here. It will continually loop until you click on the it, then it transitions into the it segment. So for each of the segments, we have a transitional segment. So for this is the transitional segment from cool to it, and this is the segment here. If I play this is that segment of that snow, the snow melting away, and then the thermometer dropping. So that is the transitional segment from the cool to heat. Then for the heat segment itself, this is what is playing on loop. Once you click on it, and it essentially moves into the heat mode, this is what is playing on loop. This is that particular segment. And then we have another transitional segment from heat to cool, and I've named all of those accordingly. So the first segment is cool, the second segment is transition to heat, the third is heat, and then the fourth and the final segment is transition to cool, transition back to cool. So after doing that, the next thing I did was just to go to state machines to create my state machine to add interactivity to the animation. And this is a very simple and straightforward state machine, and I can just let's just recreate that. Let me show you how to quickly create that. So I just created a new state machine here, and let's just get started. So the first thing I want to do is move my first segment onto my canvas, which is the cool segment, and I want to loop this segment continually until something happens, until an action is performed on that particular segment. So let's play this to see what it currently looks like. So this is our initial state, and it is currently being looped, and nothing is going to happen. If we leave this like this, nothing is going to happen. It's just continually looping forever. But we don't want that. We want users to be able to click a button, and then we move from the cool segment to the each segment, using this particular transition to each segment as a transition between those two segments. So what do we have to do? We have to bring this particular segment that we want to use as a transition onto our canvas, and this is it here. Then we want to connect it. So we've currently connecting it, but if we play it, we'll see that it's just moving into this segment. It's not looping. That is because this is an open gate transition. Nothing is stopping this particular segment from moving from here to this other segment. So what do we have to do? We have to create a particular gate for that. And we are going to be using an input for that particular gate. Let me show you what I mean. It will make sense in a second. So let's create an event input. I'm going to name this event input move to it, and it's going to be an event, not a boolean, an event. Then we are going to click on this transition, and we are going to add the conjunction, this particular segment that we just, this particular input that we just created. So if I play this now, you see that it's no longer moving here because we now have a gate that is stopping the movement from this particular segment to this. We have a transition that is gated now, so to speak. So how do we now move from year to year? We have to actually trigger this particular input, and we can do that by clicking on this bolt icon here. If I click on it, as you can see, it now moves. So this is now a gated transition. It's no more an open transition. It now moves here, but as you can see, it moves here and then it stops. We don't want that. We don't want it to stop on this particular segment. We really want to use this segment as a transition. We don't want our state to end here. So what do? The next thing we need to do is to move our next segment that we want this to move into here. And we need another transition for this. We are going to connect this. Let's stop this and play it again and see what it looks like. And as you can see, this is currently skipping this particular segment totally. And that is what is supposed to happen. So what we are supposed to do is add another gate to this particular transition. This is still an open. This is also now an open gate transition. So how do we do that? I want to create another input. So I'm going to click on the plus icon, and I'm going to call this, since we are moving from cool to it, I'm going to call it cool to it. We are moving from cool to it. That is why I'm calling this cool to it. And it's going to be an event. I'm going to save this. Then I'll click on this particular transitional segment. I'm going to give it an incomplete action. Yeah, I'm going to click on this plus icon. I'm going to fire an event. Which event do I want to fire? That is going to be the cool to it event. What this is basically saying is, once this particular segment finishes playing, fire the event cool to it. So what we can now do is to use that particular event that we are firing after completion of this segment as a transition to the next segment. So I'm going to click on that transition, add condition. I'm going to use cool to it as that particular transitional gate. So let me play this state machine. Then if I fire this particular event, I'm going to fire only the move to it. So everything works properly, and it is very seamless. You barely notice that this transitional segment is here, because what is happening is this particular segment is moving down here. Then once this finishes playing, it automatically fires this event. Then that event that is fired is automatically being used as a transition to the it segment, which we want to continually loop to. We don't want it to end. So as long as we are currently on this segment, we want it to continually loop. Let's play this once again. Move to it. This is playing, and then we land on the it segment, and that is going to continually loop until we click on a button once to move from the heat to the cool again. So it will be a complete loop. So how do we do that? We have to bring our last segment, which is the transitional segment. We have to bring it here. Then we have to create an input, to transition between these two segments. So that we are going to create an input. I'm going to call it move to cool, and it's going to be an event. Then I'm going to add a transition, join the heat to transition to cool segment. Then I'm going to use that particular input that I just created as the gate for this transition. It's going to be move to cool. So let's see what we have to this stage. So move to it. This is the segment that is currently playing now. And if I activate the input move to cool, it moves to cool, but it ends on this particular segment. We don't want it to end here. We want it to move into this segment, play once, and then move back into the cool segment. So how do we do that? We have to create another input to use as our onComplete action over here too. So for the transitions, we are using onComplete action to fire an event, and then we are using that event to move along the flow to transition from this particular transitional segment to our main segment. So let's create the last input for this particular state machine. And I'm going to call it it to cool. And it's going to be an event. So we are going to add that onComplete action. Fire an event, it to cool. Then we are going to join this to this over here. Then we are going to use that input that we just created, it to cool, as our gate for that particular transition. So let's see how that works out now. So we have the cool. This is the current segment playing, the cool segment. And then if I fire the move to it, so this segment plays once and it transitions into the it segment seamlessly, and this is what is currently playing. If I fire the second event, the main event now, it to cool, it's going to move to cool. Then we are going to move back to this particular segment. Let's do that once again. So move to it, it moves to it, and then move to cool, it moves back to cool. And that's how you build the state machines for this particular kind of animation. So it's a flow. You are just using 4 inputs basically to move between these 4 segments. So once you're done with the state machines, the next thing I did was to add motion tokens to all of the animation elements that I know I need to change in post. So for example, this temperature unit now, I know I'll be needing to change it once the animation is finalized, so I can switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So all of these 1, 2, 3, these figures, I added them as motion tokens. Even these two, it is a motion token. Even the position of this particular level indicator, the temperature level indicator, I added a motion token to that too, so I can easily change them with a slider, and that is what you see over here. So that is what is currently moving here. So how do you add motion token to a file? For example, if I want to add motion token to say the position of this, all I have to do is just click on it and then go to what I want to add motion token. For example, this is going to be the rotation because I'm rotating this basically. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I open my motion token now. So we are using the rotation value to move this around the level indicator. So all I have to do is just create a motion token for the rotation value of that particular segment. And it is quite easy. This is quite easy. All you have to do is just click on the segment. For example, if I want to create a motion token for the level indicator, what's it called, the rotational value, Let me first remove the one I have, detached token. So all I have to do is click on it and then find the particular property I want to add a motion token to. For this, it is going to be the rotational value. All I have to do is just click on this little arrow icon here and then click on apply token, and I can either create a new token or add an existing token. So if I want to create a new token, I just click on create a new token, give the token a name. The type of token is already automatically selected, so it is going to be a rotational token. But since I already have a rotational token here, I'm just going to click on this, and that token is already added. For figures, for words, alphabets, you can just click on it, then come over to the text tab here, click on this three dots icon. Let me first detach the token. Click on it, click on the three dots icon, apply token, and then you can create a new token. Give the token a name, a text, but I already have one token for that. This is it here. I'm just going to apply that existing token, and I did the same thing for all of the figures here. So, and this too, the temperature unit indicator, I just created a motion token for all of them, and then I came to my motion token. To see all of your motion tokens, click on the motion token icon over here. If I bring this over here, and I created two themes for that, and this is the default theme, which is the Celsius theme. And I just created a new one. You can create a new one by clicking on the plus button here. Let me just do that. Click on the plus button here, and then you can name it, and then you do whatever you want. I'm going to delete this since I don't need this. All I did was to create a new theme based on the motion tokens that I've defined, and I gave it a name, Fahrenheit, and then I use it to change the values from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if I click on this, you can see that the values are changing from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So that's that about creating motion tokens that you now later use to do something like this, where you can easily change the values, the position of different elements in your animation without needing to even do what's it called, the animation. You're doing it from the beginning. So you use LottieFiles motion token. I think that's that with the animation, adding interactivity, making it dynamic by adding motion tokens to the animation. So the next thing you need to do is just to export the animation into your LottieFiles dashboard, and that is quite easy. Just click on export. Since I already have this saved, it's asking if I want to save as new or I want to update. But for you, it's going to ask you for which folder on your LottieFiles dashboard you want to save the animation to. Pick a folder, and then once you're done, you can now just view the animation in your workspace. Once the animation is in your workspace, you see something like this, and with this particular interface, you can see all of your motion tokens. So if you click on the motion token icon here, you see all of your defined motion tokens, and you can test them. For example, if I want to change the temperature here, I just want to test it out. This is the motion token for the main temperature indicator. So from 15, I can change it to, let's say, 25. I can do all of that. And you can also use this interface to see your state machines. So this is our defined state machines, and then I can trigger all of these, move to it, and then I can trigger move to cool from the workspace. So the next thing I did was just to go to my handoff section. I came to handoff, then I created an asset CDN link so that I'll be able to use this in a live environment. This is a live coding environment, by the way. This is being powered by CSS, HTML, and JavaScript to do all of the changes. So you need an asset CDN for that, asset CDN link for that. So after I created that, I just copied that. Then I brought it into CodePen to essentially create this full UI where you can experience what the animation is capable of. The LottieFiles team have created a very detailed video on how to do essentially what I did in CodePen. I'm going to link it to this video so you can see how to bring your animation to life with live code in a live environment instead of just having it in your Lottie animation workspace. As a designer, you can essentially just vibe code your way into having your interactive animation in a live environment to show your clients or to test it out yourself. So for that, I'm going to link in that video, but that's basically it. The next thing I did from here is just to and follow that particular video to add my CSS, and then I use Claude to generate the JavaScript code that brings everything together. So for you to do that, you have to download your dotLottie animation. You can come to your workspace, come to the download section, download dotLottie animation. If you're a premium user, you are going to have option to download the optimized dotLottie animation. Either of the two is fine. And then you go to Claude, you just attach your dotLottie animation and the emotion token skill.md. Let me just show you what that looks like essentially in Claude. So this is it. You attach your dotLottie file of the animation and then a skill emotion token skill.md file. This file is going to be in the documentation of how to do this that I'll be attaching to this video. So check that out. Once you attach these two things, the only thing you need to do is just to instruct Claude to generate the JavaScript code to essentially bring this to life. And that's what I've done here. But this is a very detailed prompt in such a way that I told Claude all of the things that are in my animation, all of the motion tokens, all of the what's it called, the state machines, the events, the inputs. The name of the state machines I'm currently using, as you can see here, it is AC control machine, and that is like very, very intentional. If I come back to Lottie Creator, you see AC control state machine. And why I say that is very, very important is because the last time I did this, not adding the correct name of the state machines gave me a lot of issues. Like I was here debugging and I didn't know the only issue I had was that I was not adding the correct name of the state machine. So you have to be kind of detailed when you are prompting for your JavaScript code. So I added all of the things that I needed to do, create a toggle button, the limit of the indicator. I added all of that in. So this is that the motion token temp level indicator should have a range of minus 243 degrees to 0 degree. That's the rotation of this. So I don't want it to exceed, this is minus 243 degree to 0 degree. This is 0 degree here for this particular element, the rotational value. So I don't want it to move beyond this point. So I am leaving nothing to chance when I'm prompting. So I'm giving it all the details that I need it to give it. And it's not going to get this at the go. For me, the first code it generated worked, but I had a small issue in that it was first giving me the temperature indicator with decimals. So I have to tell it I didn't want decimal, and then with a couple of prompts, you are just going to get the right thing that works for you, and you can essentially just have your animation in a live environment. So like I said, I'll be linking all of the resources needed to do something like this in the description of this video, from the Figma file to the LottieFiles file to the documentation and all of those things. Please check the description or comments of this video. If you have any question or you want to ask anything about interactive animation, LottieFiles interactive animation as a whole, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments of the video. Cheers.